I thought of this idea when I was in Hawaii, just like looking and after like talking with some local business owners. So what I did first was I reached out to Nathan because I knew he had a good grasp on the technical side of things. And then, like 2, 3 weeks later, I reached out to Neil when we all got back to school for our sophomore year. And then we all started work on Badavas. And it took us about a year to get everything up and running, but we just launched last month and it was pretty successful. Marketing wise, we're looking at forming partnerships with different organizations, different companies.
Guys, before we get into the podcast, 91.6% of you guys are not subscribed. So please do hit the subscribe button since it will help get even crazier guests and blow up the channel. So yeah, let's get back into the video.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Gen Z Fastlane. Today we have Gavin, Nathan, and Neil here, who are the founding team of Badavas. So boys, why don't you guys just do a brief introduction about yourself? Maybe we should start with Gavin.
So I'm Gavin Tieng. I'm a junior, and I'm one of the co-founders here at Badavas. I help handle some of the business stuff with the company, as well as other really like marketing initiatives and everything else in that category.
Nice.
I'm Neil. I'm a junior at Scarsdale High School. I'm another co-founder of Badavas, and I also work on the business end and reaching out to potential users of our product.
Awesome.
I'm Nathan, same class. I'm junior in high school right now. I work on the technical side of Badavas, which includes designing the site and fixing any issues and customer service.
Yeah, what was the overall, concept of Badavas in the beginning and how did it change?
So the idea of Badavas was basically, we realized that when a lot of companies are starting out or entrepreneurs are trying to found their business, it's very difficult for them to find connections. So for example, if you're a restaurant, you're trying to start a restaurant, you need a food supplier, you need a marketer to, for example, market your product. And this problem is common among many industries. So with Badavas, we sought to basically create a social media platform to facilitate business partnerships. And we basically use AI-based algorithms to recommend optimal partnerships. And then we also have features that serve like a social media site. So for example, people can post videos, or they can make like posts on the site and they can chat with each other. That's basically the idea of Badavas.
Yeah, nice. So initially, how did you guys, meet each other? Or what inspired you to, come together and build this?
Yep. I thought of this idea when I was in Hawaii, just like looking and after like talking with some local business owners. So what I did first was I reached out to Nathan because I knew he had a good grasp on the technical side of things. And then, like 2, 3 weeks later, I reached out to Neil when we all got back to school for our sophomore year. And then we all started work on Badavas. And it took us about a year to get everything up and running, but we just launched last month and it was pretty successful.
Awesome. So right now, in terms of Badavas and your core growth channels, what types of marketing are you guys doing?
Marketing wise, we're looking at forming partnerships with different organizations, different companies. Due to the fact that our startup is bootstrapped, we run off of some grant funding, but it's limited to how we can use it. We're forced, to innovate our marketing strategy. And that means, partnering with entrepreneurial organizations, communities for entrepreneurs, freelancers, whatever industry we're trying to hit. We go to communities that are targeted specifically towards that niche, and we try to partner with them, get shout outs going. That's how we get our current users right now.
Yeah, and just to add on that, we initially began reaching out to potential users directly, and we were able to build up a user base of about 50 users at this point. And right now we're also we've been reaching out to, as Gavin was saying, these of entrepreneurs, and that way we're able to hit many potential users at once. So that's kind of the general approach we have.
Awesome. So with Badavas, could you guys explain what the overall final vision is? What's going to be the final product? In 5-10 years, if you guys continue running this company, or ideally.
So the idea is we want to have basically a network, like a social media network of companies on our site who are constantly interacting with each other, reaching out to each other. And basically the goal is when a company joins Badavas, they should have a ton of options for them, and they should be able to essentially go on the site and see all the different posts of companies and keep interacting with the site. So eventually we want to build up our user base to maybe 500, 1,000 companies and beyond. So our goal is to just keep growing the site and growing the community.
Awesome. Nice. So like referring back to like the previous question, like I think you mentioned something about bootstrapping. So what was the overall decision between like bootstrapping or like, raising venture?
I would say, the overall decision when it came to bootstrapping and also raising money from VCs was like accessibility. We definitely tried to reach out to some venture capitalists, but the issue is when we started the company, we weren't really, or at least for me, I didn't really have those connections for like venture capital firms or just like angel investors as like a whole. So I couldn't get that like any funding from those parts of like the industry. So instead we had to rely on bootstrapping and then also pursuing grant funding. We're definitely looking into like getting VC funding, but we want more traction and also just to polish up the site and demonstrate the ways it can be used before we start to seek more funding.
Nice. So like obviously, social networking platform is probably like kind of overpopulated, right? There's so many like different consumer apps and stuff like that. So what are your current plans with like the business model? Like how are you gonna like start charging people as well moving forward, or is there any plans for that?
Sure, so I can take this one. So the current plan, we have two approaches to revenue generation. One of them is we plan to start running ads on the site, both externally but also internally. Companies would be able to basically pay to have not their company go higher up in recommendations because those are determined by our algorithm and are unbiased, but we plan to have companies on our site paid to show up on the front page, for example, of our Badavas site, and perhaps be mentioned in emails, but essentially internal and external advertisements. And then the other potential avenue is, as Gavin mentioned, we are reaching out to entrepreneur communities, and we have made some progress in terms of charging those entrepreneur communities for them to partner with us, because we are providing a service in the sense that we are providing an application for which the companies on their platform are able to form connections more easily. And so we've also had some success in that arena. So those are the avenues we are looking at for revenue generation.
Awesome. So paid ads and also partnership. Yeah, got it. So like in terms of, I guess, the retainment or like retention for
paid
all
ads
these
and also
users, like what are some
partnership.
plans that you guys have like
Yeah,
feature
got it.
wise?
So
to
like
kind of
in terms
retain
of, I
users
guess,
on the platform as
the
well?
retainment
So
or like
feature-wise,
retention for all
whenever
these
you're creating
users,
a
like
social
what are
network,
some
you always run
plans that
into
you
a
guys
cold
have
start
like
problem.
feature wise
It's
to
amazing
kind of
built by Andrew
retain
Chen, and it
users on
basically details
as well?
like the ins and outs of running a successful community, and there's a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs that try every year to go run their own social network and build a community. But getting users and having there be like a snowball effect is definitely a big challenge. So I guess like in terms of like features and user retention, especially in the early days of a site, like a startup, especially since we're bootstrapping, we've definitely had to be creative. Currently, what we do now is for the companies on our site, we send out reminder emails for them to check up on the site, but we're hoping that our partnerships with various entrepreneur organizations and communities in the coming months should give us a sizable user base in the sense that the influx of users coming into the site, as well as the activity, would help create a basis from which we could grow from.
Got it. Yeah. Interesting. So like in terms of features on like, let's just say, for example, LinkedIn and Instagram right now, like for you guys, I guess like individually, what do you think are some of the features that can be improved? And like, are you like also like implementing some of them like cross into Badavas?
Yeah, I can talk a bit about how we evolved the site over time. So initially, our first iteration of the site, it was the AI algorithm and just real-time communication between companies. But really, we saw this problem where from the actual algorithm recommending you to users, there's not really a bridge to connecting with the actual user. Like, we want the users to be able to learn about the other users before they start the first conversation. So we came up with this idea of video pitches, which allow users to really efficiently, and video pitches like short form video content, it's been really successful in spreading information very efficiently across the world. So we adapted this approach into Badavas, allowing users to really quickly learn about potential partners and get an idea before starting the actual conversation so that when they reach out, when they send a message, it's not as cold of a start.
Okay, got it. Interesting. So
when they want to connect with someone, they'll rather than, sending like a message first, they'll send like a video pitch.
Yeah, we have like a series of video pitches, so users are able to upload like a short, less than 20-second video, and essentially other users will be able to learn about the current user before they reach out.
Got it. Interesting. Got it. So yeah, I mean, in terms of Badavas, like right now, I guess like what are some of the core systems that you guys are running it on? And what will be some advice for, some other people who also want to, start their own startups based on, your entire journey, right?
Right. So we definitely tried a lot of we've tried a lot of methods of hosting and like a bunch of startup stuff. So right now we are working with Amazon Web Services, the EC2 instances there, and we're working with Node.js and MySQL. And I think it's been pretty good so far. These are all really trusted providers, so I would recommend.
Got it. Nice. So like, I also want to dive into like some, I guess, of your more like personal experiences rather than also like Badavas. So I don't think I did research on like Nathan or Neil yet, but I guess you guys can also talk about, I guess, some of your future ambitions as well. So for Gavin, I'm super curious, like what were some experiences that you had with, what is it, food? FUD.
FUD.
FUD, yeah. What were some of your experiences there?
Definitely. So over the summer, I was a growth intern for them. So that basically meant that I designed strategies for user acquisition within a specific market. They were trying to acquire, for me at least, 16 to 24-year-olds to go onto their site. Just for like context, FUD is like the social platform for side hustles. They teach you how to do side hustles on there. It's a great platform. And I had like the pleasure of working with their CEO over the summer to just help grow that part of the site out, make partnerships, and overall just generate like a ton of views on social media sites for user acquisition. Whether that be like promoting some of their content or establishing like partnership deals with other communities and brands. But yeah, it was a really rewarding experience, and it taught me a lot about just like trying to solve the cold start problem and also trying to get like an active user base on there.
Awesome. And then I guess you use that transferable knowledge onto Badavas as well. So in terms of your own story, like what got you first initially started with this whole business world?
So I guess it started with in freshman year. I met one of my friends, Max Glick. He's super into business, and he got me started on LinkedIn. Taught me like the ins and outs of like how to reach out to people, and he inspired me to create my first business. Because beforehand, I didn't really know what I was doing. I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit, but yeah, I mean, like that's how I got started on LinkedIn. And yeah.
Nice. So for Neil, what was your, I guess, like overall story as well with, starting with business?
Sure, yeah. So this may come as a bit surprising, but even though I'm working on the business end for Badavas, I do have more of like a STEM background. And but I do also have a lot of experience in business in the sense that I'm the president of the business club in my school, and in terms of organization, I founded a 1c3 approved charity in Westchester. And so essentially my goal in the future is to work on more entrepreneurial projects, combining my interest with STEM with business. And so with Badavas, it's not like, we have a team of 3 great people, and it's obviously not possible for one person to be doing everything at the same time. And so I chose to hone in on my business interests more on this project. And so I've been like, reaching out to businesses, reaching out to these community platforms, and I've really enjoyed the experience so far. But essentially I'm I think Badavas can be really successful both in terms of like, as a company, and also in terms of helping us build our abilities in both the technical and business worlds. So that's my story.
Awesome. Yeah, Nathan, go on. Feel free to share as well.
Right. So unlike Gavin and Neil, my experience comes a lot more technical, and this is one of my first entries into the business world, and I would say I've been enjoying it quite much. I thought from the initial start of Badavas was a really good opportunity for me to take my strong programming experience and apply it to really have a real world impact. And I think you'll see that there are a lot of pretty cool features in Badavas, and I'm really just think it's a good project initially, and think we're gonna have a good product coming out of it.
Nice, guys. So if there's like, I guess like one biggest advice for, anyone who's looking to start like a startup right now, like what would that be?
I think like, one big piece of advice I would have is, especially, when like you're in the idea validation stage and everything, you're going to have a ton of doubters, people who will tell you like the idea is lame, it's stupid, and you should like change it or go do something else with your time, and that's definitely something, that like I myself and our team like encountered when we first started, Badavas, we definitely had people, for example, like whenever we're reaching out to users, ghost us, tell us that they weren't interested. But I think it's all about the perseverance, and just like working towards the goal, even when everyone else is telling you that the idea is dumb. Because at the end of the day, once you got that product out and you start to gain traction, that's the only way you're ever going to know, if the idea works or not by just someone telling you that it's lame.
Yeah, certainly. Like, don't be afraid to start. Like, the idea is a lot better in many cases. And also, don't be afraid to change, right? Don't be afraid to adapt and take advice. So that's what I've learned.
Awesome. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys hopping on the Gen Z fast lane. I think your story is actually pretty inspiring, especially it's actually one of our first pods with 3 people on at the same time, which is really nice. So I'll link all of your descriptions and bios in the description, and also link Badavas for anyone who's also interested in joining the community as well. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Until the next one, peace out.